All right. Can you guys see my slides?
Yes.
All right. Okay, great. All right, let's get going. I lost, I can't see myself anymore, so I'm going to just trust that I'm there. But all right, I'm going to get started. So I just wanted to thank you guys for letting us join. I'm excited to be here. And I'm going to kick things off first with a little bit of middle grade. I know we're focusing mostly on young adult, but these are some popular middle grade titles that I think your teens are excited about. This one doesn't really need a lot of introduction. I just want to remind everybody that the fifth and final book in Rick Riordan's Trials of Apollo series is coming out in the first week of October. And so this one, Lester, who is actually the god Apollo in human form, as you may know, and his friend Meg have to go back to where it all began, which is Camp Half-Blood. So those Percy Jackson fans will be very excited to see who turns up to help them in their final battle. And then I just want to call out our Rick Riordan Presents imprint. It just keeps getting better and better. We've got 29 starred reviews. We've got a Coretta Scott King author honor and a Pura Belle Prey winner. And so it just really keeps growing. And the next title's coming up. Tristan Strong Destroys the World is the second book in the Tristan Strong series from Kwame Mbalia. This is the book that received this year's Coretta Scott King honor. Then we have a new book coming from Sarwat Shada. This is City of the Plague God. This features a Muslim hero, and it is sort of tied to the Epic of Gilgamesh. So basically, Gilgamesh and all those evils are now in New York City. And lastly, coming up in the spring, we have Arusha and the City of Gold, which is the fourth book in the Pandava series by Roshni Chakshi. All right, so moving on to young adults. So I'm excited that the first book on my list is from Julie C. Dow, who I believe you guys just had speaking earlier. So The Mirror is a new fairy tale series that we have, and it's written by 4 different authors, but Julie is the author of the first book. It follows one family over several generations, and they're cursed. In this first book, we meet the original descendant of this, and it's set in, I'm going to get this wrong, 1800s Germany. And then the second book is 1920s New Orleans. Third book is 1960s San Francisco. And then the fourth book is actually early 2000s in New York. And so as the books go on, the descendants of the original characters in Julie's book will all evolve, their magic will evolve, and they will figure out what's going on with this curse and try to break it. Then moving on, so Frozen 2, this is Dangerous Secrets, the story of Iduna and Agnar. If you guys saw the new Frozen movie, Frozen 2, we learned a little bit more about Elsa and Anna's parents. And I think it left especially those older Frozen fans hungry for a little bit more history on that. So this is the romance between the two of them when they were young. And it shows not only where Elsa's magic comes from, but just gives you some insight into their story, their love story, and then actually a little bit of insight into that terrible crash and what happened on their ship. So again, I think all those Frozen fans of various ages will be interested. It's completely clean teen, so if you have kids younger than 12, there's no reason that they can't read it as well. Then we've got The Queen's Council. So the first book in The Queen's Council is Rebel Rose, written by Emma Theriault. And this is a new series we have coming out. It's also going to be written by multiple authors. This basically takes some of your favorite princesses and looks at their life after Happily Ever After. So as they've become rulers. So in this one, Belle is now queen. She's married to the Beast. He's not a beast anymore, as you may remember. And she's trying to balance all of her duties as royalty, but keep connected to her roots as a peasant. She doesn't want to be part of this hierarchy. She also goes to Paris and gets caught up in the French Revolution. So all of these books are taking a bit of historical context and tying it to these fairy tales that we know and love. And the second book will be based on Mulan and be written by Olivia Blackburn. So Be More Chill was a novel from Ned Vizzini that came out a long time ago, and then there was an off-Broadway musical, which became a Broadway musical. And you guys may have heard the soundtrack just kind of went completely viral and blew up all over Spotify, and teens became obsessed with this show. I got a chance to see it off Broadway. It was amazing. But almost more amazing than the show was seeing all the teens in the audience and how excited they were. So we're really excited to work with David Levithan, who knew Ned very well, to adapt this book into a graphic novel with great art from Nick Bertozzi. And it'll be coming out simultaneously in hardcover and paperback in January. And if you're not familiar with the story, it's about a kid who feels like a complete loser and nerd, and then he hears about this thing called the Squip, which is this teeny tiny microscopic supercomputer that you swallow like a pill, and it basically tells you what to do to be cool. And he does this, and his whole life changes. He becomes one of the most popular kids in school, gets the girl, but he realizes there's a very dark side to all of this. And it's really unlike a lot of other books, and I think was way ahead of its time when it came out. So I think the graphic novel will be really well received. Oh, and here's some interior spreads. I think it looks really cool. Moving on to Lore by Alex Bracken. So Alex Bracken is probably best known for her New York Times best-selling books, The Darkest Minds series, which was also made into a movie that came out a couple of years ago. And she's also done some middle grade, so we're excited to have her back solidly in the YA genre with Lore. So Alex drew on her love of Greek mythology, but also she is Greek, and so she also used stories from her grandparents to come up with this story, which is about a secret network of ancient families who are descendants of Greek heroes, and they're battling Greek gods. So basically, it's kind of complicated and hard to explain quickly, but every 7 years, the gods become mortal, and they're on Earth, and the heroes from these descended families can kill them and take on their powers. And this story focuses on our one character, Lore Perseus, who really has tried to walk away from all of this, but her entire family was killed as part of this, and she finds herself getting sucked back in when she makes a deal with the goddess Athena. It's just a really epic, action-packed story that I think readers will love. And one of the things that I love about it is it really turns the misogyny and violence against women that is often found in Greek mythology on its head and reclaims that hero's journey for a strong female character. And then I also want to mention Brightly Woven here. So this was Alex's very first young adult novel that she wrote years ago. She's reimagined it as an upper middle grade graphic novel, and that's going to be coming out this February. So then we have City of Villains by Estelle Lore. So City of Villains, how do I describe City of Villains? It's kind of a noir mystery story, but with Disney. So it follows a young teen, Mary Elizabeth Hart. She's a high school senior, but at night she's an intern at the police department in Monarch City. And she never gets to do anything, but one day the mayor's daughter goes missing, and she's actually allowed to be brought in on that case. And what she finds is she kind of goes down this rabbit hole, kind of literally. She meets a girl with horns, a boyfriend who has a lot of secrets hidden, and what might be a sea monster hiding somewhere. So you've probably guessed which villains those are. And this just, again, she gets caught up into this world of magic that has been hidden away and kind of shunned, and learns more about this underbelly of this whole city. And this is the first in a series. So then I want to talk a little bit about the High Republic from Star Wars. So this is a new publishing program. It's actually cross publishers. There are middle grade and young adult novels. There'll be adult novels. There'll be comic books. There may even be some other cool stuff coming down the road from non-publishing partners, we're hoping. So this is set 200 years before the events of the Skywalker saga as we know it. This is when the Jedi were the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy. This is kind of that time that's always referred to in those movies. And actually, if some of you may have seen, there was an announcement recently that Yoda will actually be making an appearance in all of these. It makes sense. He was about 900 years old when he died, so of course he would have been around during all of this. We don't have a lot of other spoilers yet, but these books, actually, we will have galleys up on NetGalley for this. I was really surprised they said yes. They're not up yet, but they will be. So our first book is a middle grade novel by best-selling author Justina Ireland, Test of Courage, and then we'll have, coming shortly after that, a young adult novel by best-selling author Claudia Gray called Into the Dark. And then I just want to mention, as a reminder, October is Star Wars Reads. So if you visit the website, it's pretty easy to find off starwars.com if you don't get that whole URL there. There's an activity kit, there are downloadable posters, there's graphics you can use on social media. So if you're doing anything in your libraries around Star Wars Reads, and who doesn't Baby Yoda because I'm not supposed to, but the child there on our logo. We're super excited about this coming up. That's everything for me. This is where you can find us on social media. You can find our catalog and our website there. And I did want to mention, we are very limited on print galleys we can send out these days. It's a little hard with our warehouse. It's not impossible, but pretty much all of these titles, if they're not on NetGalley now, they will be. But if there's anything that you really need a print copy of, you can also email me. My email address is there. But NetGalley is a great place to start.